Aussie dollar, we're going to start here on the 4-hour. You can say that Aussie dollar has done two things. One, it has broken and closed above a previous structure high, this guy right here. Two, we have come to another previous structure high, right? So if we go back to the IPD example that we looked at in the first example, how many times can I say example? The break and close above here allows us to predict, right? We identified a break and close above. It allows us to predict that price is likely to go higher. The next part of that prediction is if price is likely to go higher, then where are we likely to go higher to? We can identify this zone right here, and that's where our bullish projection stops because you don't want to jump when you're close to the ceiling, right? So it's important. We've been having conversations like this all week in our live trading room about understanding the full range of the trade, right? So it's not just like making a directional prediction. So many traders just think, hey, like I just got to make a directional prediction. I think we're going to go bullish. I think we're going to go bearish, and I can trade it. Well, there has to be room for you to make profit as well. If you go back to the jumping while you're close to the ceiling reference, I don't know if you've ever done that, but if you climb a ladder, or perhaps you live in a house with a very small ceiling and your head is a foot underneath the ceiling, if you jump, you're not going to make it pretty far. You're going to knock yourself out and be concussed and, maybe break something. I don't know. But anyway, there's not enough room for you to actually jump. So it's the same thing with trading, where you don't want to be involved in a trade if there's not enough room for you to actually make profit. And this is why we have that whole risk profile where we look at entry, stops, and targets. And unless we have that full information, we can't really decide on whether it's a good trading opportunity or not. So this would not be a good buying opportunity because we're already at structure, but it could be a good selling opportunity. Now, keep in mind, before we get on to the lower time frames, we do have a higher level of structure right here. We know we call this overlapping levels of structure. Whenever we have overlapping levels of structure, the more important one is going to be the higher one. So just keep this in mind. But the trading opportunity that exists here, if we go down to a lower time frame, is kind of a really small, quick one, right? Price action came to this level. We've put in two Doji candles right here, which a Doji candle is a neutral candle. It is a sign of indecision. The market is having a think. It doesn't really want to go bullish. It doesn't really want to go bearish, and it kind of ends up where it started, right? Imagine a game of tug of war, and like one team pulls it, and then the other team pulls it, and then the whistle goes off, and the flag is right in the middle where it started. Stalemate, right? We had that stalemate. Which doesn't really mean much in its own right. But what is a little bit more important, by a little I mean a lot more important, is this candle that came after it. Now it's going to be a lower low, lower close, a break below, close below, showing us that the bears have won that session. That is an entry reason as well. So if you are someone that's looking to take an aggressive trade, right, this is a good entry reason right here. Again, this is not a grade A trading opportunity by any means, especially with the overlapping level of structure. But if you're someone, especially who uses a small stop loss, you can make this work, right? So you have the entry, but again, we need the three things: the entries, stops, and targets. Let's do targets first. Targets, well, where can we go to? Well, remember this previous level, this powerful level of structure resistance that was broken? Well, that's the level that we would expect to act as support, right? Remember the video we did on ice zones where there's a frozen ice and it is resistance for fish trying to jump out, but on the other side, it is support for humans trying not to fall in. And once a fish jumps out, it turns into a human not to fall in. Yeah, examples. It's early Saturday morning, guys. Give me a break. But the same level of previous structure of resistance, Saturday morning. The same level of previous structure resistance, once violated, right? I'm going to do some cool stuff right here. I love doing this. It takes too long, but I'm going to do it anyway, right? Once violated, we should look at it to become our next level of structure support. Look at that. It turns green. If you have the VS1s, this is easier. But yeah, so this would be a decent level to look for potential targets at. Now, the stop loss has to be correct as well. I looked at this myself. The stop loss is going to be a little bit too long. My stop was going to be at, was it 165.11? I think it was, which doesn't give me a one-to-one risk reward. That's just my rules for stops. I can't do anything about it. That's literally as small as I can go on a stop loss. But if you're someone that uses maybe a smaller stop loss method, a couple pips above the high, and you can get something right around here, then all of a sudden you got a 1.5 or a little bit close to that stop loss, which isn't a bad risk reward profile. So something to keep an eye on here. One more thing to add to this, and this is going to be data dependent and how you draw it dependent, right? You may have a cipher here. It's going to all depend on where you anchor your X leg, because this is very close, and I'll show you what I mean, right? So our X leg is our starting point. If you were to take it, let's say from right here, this little red doji guy, right? And drag, well, we'll drag this on because we need it anyway, but drag our 127. This is going to be the one that's going to give us a little bit of trouble. If we drag our Fibonacci extension from this swing low, and I'll draw the rest of the pattern on in a little bit, don't worry, we have plenty of ciphers to look at today, to swing high and back down, you're going to see that your 1414, and this is the level that cannot be broken and closed above if we want a valid C leg, you're going to see that your 1414 on this data, check your data, because specifically Aussie data is always a little bit different depending on your broker, but we do not have a break and close above that level, making this a valid cipher, meaning a potential advanced pattern formation that looks like this: X to A to B, B to C, and a C to D completion. However, if you were to drag this X leg one pip lower, let's say you're going to start right here somewhere. That works. Yeah. Then you would have a violation. So very important that you check that. One, for the validity of the cipher, but two, if you're someone that's looking for maybe a secondary opportunity here, right? Second week in a row, we talk about the aggressive C, right? I do a video telling you never to trade the aggressive C, and then 2 weeks in a row, I give you aggressive C examples. You could, I wouldn't, but you could theoretically look to hold a second target in advance of that cipher completing, and then stop and reverse and trade it back the opposite direction. So trade what you see. Great book by Larry Pesavento, but also always trade what you see on your charts, especially when it comes to like Australian data. I don't know why. I've spoken to Australian brokers. They don't know why either, but that's the one kind of currency that I see in the Forex market where the differences in quotes are a little bit more than your regular ones. Now, speaking of ciphers, I got another one to show you right here. We're going to make this short and sweet.